to WTIM, your information station. Took one last sip of water right there. Should not have. This is Tim Zalabak, your host of WTIM's morning show. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. Thank you so much to our sponsors as well, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. On the line right now is Valerie Belusco, a community and economic development educator for the University of Illinois Extension. How are you today, Valerie?
I'm doing good. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing super well. Thanks so much for being here today. I love the topic of our show today. It's starting off 2024, right? I was just thinking hard about my New Year's resolution and how I really need to be keeping up on that. So talk to me a little bit about the communities and how their resolutions are sorting out, and what are people really looking at in terms of their life changes here moving into 2024?
Ooh, well, I'm going to give you some statistics, but let's come back. I want to know in a little while what your resolution is. And if I can help you actually achieve it.
Okay. Absolutely. Am I telling you it now, or am I saving it?
Let's save it just for a little bit.
We're saving it. All right, great. Where do we start then?
Okay, so I was actually looking at some New Year's Eve statistics, because if anyone's like me, you always set resolutions, and then kind of after a month or two, you kind of forget about them.
Sure, I get it.
So I thought, well, how many people are like me? I looked up this great article from Forbes that just came out in December, and they were talking about, the most common New Year's resolutions. And so there were some pretty interesting statistics. The one that I thought would be up there on the top was 48% of Americans usually want to improve their personal fitness. So right where I thought it would be. What was incredibly shocking, only 3% set resolutions to perform better at work. Wow, right?
Yeah. It's much lower than I expected it to be right there. And I wonder if that number would have been higher 20 years ago.
I would almost think so.
Yeah.
Generationally, work was definitely an important priority that people had. Now, I think taking personal time is more of a priority to the younger generation. But what was interesting is, no matter where people fell on the scale, whether they were trying to improve their finances, which was at 38% of Americans, making more time for loved ones, stopping smoking, meditating, whatever it was, none of them were very good at achieving their resolutions. In fact, only 8% of respondents stuck with their goals for 1 month. 8%. 1 month.
Wow. That's not great numbers here, Valerie.
This is not. 22% did last 2 months, and 22% did last 3 months. And then it fell off.
Man.
And that I learned, do you know what January 17th is called?
No, I do not.
Hey, it has two very unique nicknames.
Okay.
It's Ditch New Year's Resolution Day, or Quitter's Day.
17th there. What was the first one? What was the first word you used?
Ditch.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Resolution Day. So I thought, wow, that is interesting.
Only the 17th of January, and that's what it's known as. That's pretty crazy.
Well, I think there's a lot of ways we can improve this.
Yeah.
And improve our resolutions and improve the way we think about goal setting. And so I'm ready to flip this. I'm ready to erase all those silly New Year's resolutions that we make, that we say we're going to do, but we don't actually put much thought, time, or effort into achieving. And we're going to think about some ways we can really make sure we achieve the goals that we have set out for ourselves.
Awesome. I absolutely love it, because it is also that time of year where you hear everyone making their New Year's resolutions and you're like, okay, I'll hop on the train. I'll go to the gym some more. And that's where we find ourselves on January 17th, where you're doing something that you're not totally motivated to do. So you're flipping the script here, Miss Valerie Belusco. How can we make resolutions that we can stick with?
Okay. So my favorite method, I find it to be tried and true, is the SMART method. It's been around for ages. Most people have heard of it, but not everyone has actually sat down and written out a plan. And so that's incredibly important when you're thinking about the goals that you're going to set for yourself.
Yeah.
SMART is actually an acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And so it's how you break down your goal into those categories to kind of create subcategories and timelines so that you can really continue to focus on your goal and focus on achieving your goal without becoming overwhelmed or frustrated.
Yeah. No, this is a perfect way to lay out your plans for the year and making sure all your bases are covered right here. Looking at the T in the SMART acronym right now, time bound. I mean, this is an important one for right here, because you're thinking about the entire year right now. So, I mean, I go back to our normal one of, losing some weight, maybe going to the gym. That's a great, way to space it out throughout the year. You gotta think about those things, I'm sure, going into it.
Well, most definitely, but sometimes the way we think about things can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, I'll use me as a perfect example. I could lose 40 pounds. I should lose 40 pounds.
Sure.
Completely doable within a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the number 40 is pretty large when you're thinking about pounds.
Yeah.
And breaking it down into calories and how much you earn every day, it becomes overwhelming. And when you think about 12 months, at one point in the beginning, it seems like, oh, I've got forever to do this. But then all of a sudden, you're 4 months in and you haven't lost any weight and you're thinking, now I feel like it's at crunch time. So thinking about how you word the goals in your head, how you mentally talk to yourself can be very important. So instead of saying, I'm going to lose 40 pounds in 1 year, breaking it down and saying, I'm going to lose 3.5 pounds every month.
That sounds much more manageable.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
That sounds like, oh, I can do that.
Totally.
Writing that down, putting it down on a calendar, or putting it down kind of on a Post-it note on your mirror, something like that says, here's what I'm going to do,
Mm-hmm.
Making sure you weigh yourself weekly at the same time to make sure, what kind of progress are you making? Do you need to alter or change anything? And, sometimes we do have to make changes because sometimes our birthday comes up and we like margaritas and cake and we have for those extra calories. But then, that next week, you're going to be right at it, back at the gym, working hard. And so, it's okay to fluctuate and it's okay to make changes as necessary, but it's also smart to put your goals into a perspective that seems doable and does not mentally frustrate or overwhelm you.
Yeah, I love what you did there with the SMART acronym we've been working with right here. It is totally smart to do this. You just mentioned the measurable, that's the M in it, and with losing pounds, 3.5 pounds a month, that's way better, and that's easy to measure. Saying I'm going to go to the gym more, that's not measurable, and that's where people are finding these problems of not achieving their goals, right?
You just say you're going to go to the gym more. Well, what does more mean?
Right.
Are you already going to the gym 5 days a week? And then if you're going to the gym 5 days a week, what are you doing? Are you chit-chatting or are you actually moving?
Yeah.
And so, saying that I'm going to do 20 minutes of cardio every day and 20 minutes of weights every other day, that gives you something to measure. That gives you a goal that is set, that can be written down, that can, that box can be checked every day. And that is truly measurable. So just thinking about how we kind of attack and figure out what processes we're going to do to make sure we're achieving our goals are incredibly important.
Totally. It's already that time for us to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to have another example of how to get your SMART goals in order for the year and how to make those New Year's resolutions fully achievable. We're sitting down right now with Valerie Belusco, a community and economic development educator for the University of Illinois Extension. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat all steady at this hour. March corn down 1/4, 463.5. May corn down 1/4, 476 3/4. And December new crop 498.5, up 1/4. January beans 1273.5, down 0.5 penny. March beans down 0.5 penny, 1273. And November new crop 1225 and a quarter, up 3 and a quarter. March wheat 603 and 3/4, down 3. May wheat down 2 and 3/4, 616 and a half. July wheat 624 and 3/4, down 1.5. March bean meal 376.80, down 270. March bean oil 48.78, up 49 cents. Livestock market, January feeders 224.60, down 82 cents. February live cattle 170.92, down $1. February lean hogs 65.47, up 15 cents. Energy market, February crude oil up 218, 72.56. I'm Jim Taylor.
I'm Jeff Grimmett, Assistant Vice President at People's Bank and Trust in Taylorville. People's Bank and Trust is proud to sponsor Taylorville Junior High School Students of the Month on all of the WTIM platforms.
I'm Elena Harker, 8th grade student of the month. My parents are Bobby and Hank Harker. School subjects I enjoy include math, PE, ELA. This year at TJHS, I'm involved in basketball, cross country, track, and student council. After high school, I'm considering nursing as a career.
Congratulations to these students on this honor from People's Bank and Trust. We put people first every day at People's Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
If you're looking for the latest in local hunting and fishing information, then join us for Central Illinois Outdoors with me, Jared White, Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Sundays at 7 a.m. here on WTIM. Every weekend, we'll offer detailed Central Illinois fishing reports from professional guides. We'll swap stories with local celebrity sportsmen, and I'll invite you to share your favorite stories as well. Central Illinois Outdoors with Jared White every weekend on all WTIM platforms and on demand at centralillinoisoutdoors.com. Brought to you by Bob Ridings in Pana, the Clinton, Illinois Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, and Locked and Loaded in Pana.
WTIM, your ag information station, provides over 8 hours a day of agriculture programming on the air, stream live, and in podcast. Find out all the on-air and online platforms you can hear WTIM by going to TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Over 50 years and 3 generations of legacy serve you at Dale Williams Trucking in Fillmore. From agriculture to road construction hauling, they do it all. Find out how they can help you. Click their icon above the weather on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to WTIM, your information station. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. And before we move further with this great conversation, we'd like to thank our sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. On the line today is Valerie Belusco, a community and economic development educator for the University of Illinois Extension. We've been talking about setting your New Year's resolutions and setting them correctly using SMART goals. SMART is an acronym standing for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. If your resolution can hit all those marks, you'll be set up for a pretty successful year. Valerie, does that all sound right to you?
It does. You're spot on.
Cool. Awesome. I'm glad to be, and I'm on the right path here to get my New Year's resolutions up and started. But give us some, we're going to go through some examples here about how to fully achieve these New Year's resolutions in a very real way. Valerie, can you take it from here?
Okay. So my New Year's resolution is to get organized.
Okay.
And I actually started this over the summer, and I have been slowly working on it. My whole house, my husband and I built a house, moved in before it was complete. We finished the second floor ourselves, and then I went straight into getting my master's, and all of this while having, the time to preteen daughters. And let me tell you, they are very helpful at putting things away in no specific order. So now that all of that is done and I have all this free time, it's time to get everything organized the way I like it. And so I've kind of started it, and I still have some rooms that are left to finish. And I could tell myself, you know what, I'm going to organize my home. But that seems really overwhelming. No. And it also seems like I've already done some things. So I want to break it down. I want to say, you know what, I want to organize my home office, my kitchen, my closet, my pantry, and my bathroom. That's what I have left. No. So that's very specific. And then I want to make it measurable. I want to say, well, you know what? I kind of know what months are busy for me. And January is a perfect time to get my office organized because I have a little bit more free time in January, and I'm going to have to get ready for taxes. So we're going to have to clean out, go through all of our farm paperwork and kind of clean out and get started and organized for a new year. So I want to make that priority number one. I'm going to get that one done, knocked out in January.
Okay.
In February, I'm going to do my kitchen. It's the shortest month, and it is probably the easiest thing to accomplish. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get that one. Then I'm going to do my closet in March because that's when, our weather starts shifting anyway. And I'll be putting away some of the sweaters and bringing out some of the summer clothes. My pantry in April because I had no other place to stick my pantry. So I figured I'd do that in April. And then my bathroom in May, that ultimate deep clean spring cleaning kind of thing to get that done. And I thought, okay, well, but is this relevant? Do I really need to organize things? Most people would say I'm a pretty organized person. They go into my house, they say it looks great, but it's not. Have you ever had to buy something that you know that you already have simply because you can't figure out where you put it?
Oh my gosh, I just had to buy a spice for my father over the holiday season because we couldn't find it. Yes, I've been there, Valerie.
And I hate doing that. That is a waste of money. That's a waste of time.
Yeah.
You already know you have it. It's frustrating because you can't find it. So for me, this is incredibly relevant. It might not seem pertinent to other people. Other people might think that everything is fine. But for me, it's not fine. I want to be mindful of how I am spending my time and my money. And so getting organized, knowing where things are, incredibly important to me. So I made sure this was a very relevant goal, something that was going to be meaningful to me. It doesn't have to be meaningful to other people. That's completely okay. Goals are for yourself. They're to make you better, to make you more comfortable. So I thought this is perfect. And it's incredibly time bound.
Yeah.
I want to have all of this done by mid-May because in May the weather gets nice, and from mid-May on, probably October, I'm outside. I am an outside person. I love my gardens, my birds, my animals. And so I don't want to be cooped up in the house. And I know that if I don't get this done before then I'm not going to think about this again until the end of October.
Right.
And so making sure that the time that I'm setting for myself with my goals makes sense with my lifestyle and my interests is incredibly important.
Totally. That was amazing. Thank you for running us through all the smart aspects right there. The relevant piece was actually even more interesting because, of course, it's relevant to you. You want to have a clean home, but it's going to be relevant to you economically and, from your day-to-day life. This changes matters in the house when things are just a little bit more clean and they have a real, they really show their head when you have to go out and buy something that you can't find in your own home. These are really, really important things to consider when building your resolution.
Exactly. And you know what, when you have these things in order and when you're making changes that impact how you feel personally, it kind of shines on the outside as well. And so you might not seem as frazzled because you're looking for that spice over the holidays that you know you have,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
so you feel more confident, you feel better about yourself, and that can be contagious. So, setting goals isn't just important for yourself, but it's great for the people around you as well.
Sure. These habits, they have a way of snowballing and turning into even better habits. Valerie, we're just about out of time here, but thank you so much for taking the time and speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Without a doubt. That's Valerie Belusco, a community and economic development educator for the University of Illinois Extension. What a great conversation it was today, learning about all of our 2024 resolutions and how to really achieve them. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of WTIM's Morning Show. We'd like to thank our sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. Thank you all for listening.
Your information station, WTIM.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W298